let us understand the continual service improvement. Continual service improvement is one of the critical aspects of the SIAM implementation and for any organization. To provide a consistent method of quantifying, tracking, and managing the delivery of improvements activity across ecosystem. What it means is, if you are applying a CSI activity on a particular type of a contract or particular type of a provider, it should be consistent. Because let's say you want to track incidents or you want to track delivery mechanisms or you want to quantify the risk management. So it should be similar or rather same, consistent across the entire ecosystem. It cannot be like, some service provider is identifying the risk, but they don't monitor and track. But some type of a service provider who is religiously following the risk management. So it should be taken care accordingly. Now, improvement activities to be applied on people, process, services, technology, interfaces, and relationship between them. So what is going to happen is, let's say you want to improve the people skill, then also CSI is required. You want to improve the integration channel, then technology and data will come into the picture. And you want to improve the processes based on the measurement and the actual performance through SLA KPI or in general improvements which is expected to be done by year on year, month on month in the contract, or rather contractual obligations trigger some improvements, right? Like, improvement on the operational efficiencies year on year by 10%. So there is no option, right? They have to do it and they have to ensure that this is happening. And it cannot just happen by some trigger on some day, but it has to happen continuously. Service provider has to identify the CSI, has to be agreed in conjunction with customer and service integrator and move forward on that. Let's say some changes are required, so it has to be really agreed, plan for those changes, going through the overall mechanism via change management process and implement it, right? And then end of the day, you have to look at the benefit that whatever you expected out of it, you received it or not. So let's understand some of the consideration. The common definition of CSI across all the parties in the ecosystem and should have a agenda on the governance board. So as I said, right, contractual obligations specifically talks about some sort of improvements which are required year on year. So that has to be really, so every monthly service review should have some topic on the CSI. How are you doing CSI? Did you plan for it? If CSI is done, what is the actual benefit you get it or you are receiving it? Should be a primary focus of process forum in the forum structural element. So what we are trying to say is that every entity who is providing a services should have the primary focus on the basically CSI. Service providers should be encouraged and incentivized to contribute to CSI activities. So first of all, there should be a mechanism ironed out that there will be a CSI activity to be done. And we should be always expecting, we should ask right level of questions. We should probe people, right? Probe team members that, okay, so you have done something good. So when you're done good, can you find out why you have done good or how this, mechanism which is established. So when you really find out the positive aspects of, some activities or performance, then also you will realize that there will be a cause and impact which we also need to be done when something is not being achieved. And that's where you trigger the CSI activities. And obviously when CSI activities are continuously happening, you realize there are improvements which are visible. Then obviously at some point of time you incentivized, you expect, recognize, or, even service provider expect that there is a recognition which is available. Approach to share lessons to be learned across all the parties. So there should be a even culture to be built in the organization or in the ecosystem that people should share lessons like something they have done, which is out of the box, something they have done, which is a need of an hour, and that is being achieved by someone, something which is done by, proactively or reactively. So that should be shared across. Maybe there should be a, mechanism where everybody can see this kind of, learnings. Establish a central database or a register for CSI activity, which is also one of the culture building aspect. So, it's a different story that who will be implementing, who will be impacted by this. But if you have really, planned for certain CSI activities, if you have really actioned out, you put it into this register, then that will be tracked again on a monthly basis. It should be on the governance board. So what will happen is there should be action which will be even tracked to closure. SI will be responsible for managing cross-service improvements. So SI will be definitely facilitating this by multiple service providers, and there should be a mechanism in the place to prioritize those with respect to end-to-end processes and services. So there should be given a priority for such kind of activities. If you do that, then only there will be a mechanism which will be ironed out to do those CSI activity. Let's understand the activity. So improvements is identified and some further information is also obtained. What are the current metrics like baseline or targets? Identify and quantify expected and desired improvements. So you have, it's like this is the current ways of working, and that is the future ways of working, or which is expected, right? So you look at what is required and then you work towards it. Categorize and prioritize improvements to define service level of, required level of governance, even bring the importance of it. Approve improvements with respect to the development if it is required. Implementation, as I said, via change control mechanism. Stakeholder management, communication planning, even plan and review and carry out improvements. So obviously when you do an improvement, it has to be conjunction with the entire ecosystem. It has to be plan, review, and implement that. Measure, review, and quantify the benefits. So close the improvement actions, including documenting lesson learned. So assuming you have decided that I would like to improve the turnaround time of incident. So how do you really turn around the time? So you need to know, first of all, what's the target? You need to know what's the current level of performance. Let's the target is to, priority wise target is to resolve the incident for a P1, it's let's say 6 hours. And the current level is between 5 to 7 hours. So which is a range. But you have decided that I want to make it predominantly, I want to make a target of 4 hours. So how do you really do this change? How do you ensure that? So you need to have a target. You need to have a mechanism where the current performance is available, historical data. Then you really plan for this. You need to have a discussion that where all places you can actually reduce the turnaround time of incidents. Probably, the mechanism of reassigning the incident, maybe reducing the time of the investigation. There is a possibility of, hop in, hop out time, right? So incident is actually available in one of the assignment, with one of the service provider, and service provider is not looking into it, maybe for first 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Then we have to probably increase the availability, or the response time has to be even improved. So within that CSI activity, one more activity which has come into the picture. So all this discussion should happen between all the service provider in the SIAM environment. It can be facilitated by the service integrator, and that's how you plan for it, you review, and then some point of time you do the changes. You look at the bits and pockets, like some sort of fruits which are available, like quick fixes, right? You do probably automation, you send some messages, you do a communication planning, and that's how you reach on maybe 5 hours, or and then again really you monitor this for a month, and you realize after 1 month of improvements, you reach to maybe 4.5 hours. to 5.5 hours, right? That's the range now. So that does mean you are actually improved from the previous performance. And then at some point of time, you'll be able to reach by 4 hours, right? For a priority one kind of a, SLA or turnaround time or for resolution, right? Coming back to what are the inputs which are required. So of course, MIS reporting, and historical data, what are the indicator which we would like to improve it, trend analysis, how the trending of the incident resolution timeline, you have some lesson learned reviews, you find out all this analysis from there only. You have some audit actions, you have some satisfaction surveys, CSAT kind of a thing, you have strategic divers, which, I mean, some improvements generally come from the potential of a business or maybe from outside, from a market, right? Somebody is giving something, turnaround market time is, let's say, 3 months or 2 months. And you would like to, your current turnaround time is basically 3 months and above. So how do you make it to 2 months? This become a kind of a KPI, or this become a improvement opportunity. And so everybody has to work on this. It's like a SIAM ecosystem level of a CSI, which has to be done. What are the outputs? So obviously every improvement supposed to be, documented in the register. Then again, you have the MIS reporting, management information system kind of recording, which will be recommended again based on the improvements which you have done, status changes to the logged improvements, implemented some improvements, what are the benefits which you have achieved. That kind of outputs will be coming into the picture. Let's understand the metrics, right? So how many improvements have been identified? What are active? At some point of time, you agreed, right? So I want to live with no improvements are required, or maybe certain improvements required some sort of a budget or some sort of a project itself, or how many improvements have been completed, So some are supposed to be really quick fix, right? So this can be achieved. What is the cost? Increase the value associated with improvement activities, improvements in the achievement of service level targets and process performance indicators. So these are the metrics. The roles, generally it's taken care by, there'll be improvement initiator, maybe a sponsor who is really sponsoring this improvement, like at the organization level, or he has he realized, right, or a sponsor realized that something to be done on the go-to-market timeline. So obviously there'll be a sponsor who will be really, and in this case there'll be a target-oriented kind of a CSI activities to be done, right? So there will be a developer who will be doing, implementer, even governance board attendees, process forum attendees who will be really discussing, deciding, and in larger organization there'll be a CSI manager, or generally a service manager himself or herself looking into this kind of activities across their structural element, like their entities.